Copyright disclaimer. Under Title 17 U.S.C. Section 107, allowance is made for fair use for purposes such as criticism, comment, news reporting, teaching, scholarship, and research. Fair use is permitted by copyright statute that might otherwise be infringing nonprofit, educational, or personal use, tips the balance in favor of fair use. Okay, this is dated November 10th, 2023. Arizona judge tosses out child abuse lawsuit against Mormon church, citing Clergy-Pentient rule. So don't worry, guys. If you want to hurt children or physically abuse them or neglect them, just use Clergy-Pentient, No big deal. The bishop who heard the confession wasn't obligated to inform police about it. The abuse continued for years. Of course it did. Birds of a feather. Article by Hemant Mehta. This newsletter is free, but it's only able to sustain itself due to the support I receive from a small percentage of regular readers. Would you please consider becoming one of those supporters? Okay. In 2010, an Arizona man named Paul Adams confessed to his Mormon bishop, John Herod, that he was molesting his 5-year-old daughter. And let's be clear, there's a difference between molestation and the R word. And people trying to get out of accountability always use the M word. It's a fact. Herod called the Mormon Church's helpline and was directed to basically keep that information to himself. Isn't that great? Wonder what the LAPD thinks about things like that. One does wonder, don't they? Don't tell local child welfare officials. Nothing. Sound like Scientology? Telling children that have been R'd by grown adults that they're out 2D? Out second dynamic? That it's their fault? That they were R'd? That they pulled it in? Oh, this guy's an atheist. So Herod did as ordered. Another bishop was informed about the situation, as was Adam's wife. But that was it. Let some man tell me he's doing that to my daughter. You can guess what happened next. Adams continued to molest his daughter, and later, after her birth in 2015, his infant daughter. I blame the wife. Mostly. He made videos of the encounters and posted them on you-know-what websites, which were eventually discovered by Interpol. Allegedly. Reported to his employer, U.S. Customs and Border Protection. It led to criminal charges. How about that, you guys? Grown adult men or women who hurt children in a sexual way, it's criminal. Crazy. So the wife knew about it, didn't do anything about it. Let someone tell me they're doing that to my daughters. Both girls and their 3 other siblings were eventually adopted, albeit by separate families. The wife was later indicted on 12 criminal counts. Good. Women are going to love her in prison. Adams himself was indicted on 11 counts of child abuse, but hanged himself in prison. Good riddance. In 2017, while awaiting trial. Too bad he didn't do that before he hurt the children, right? In fact, I think more of them should do that. Cleanse the earth on their own. That's what my grandpa did. He took himself out with I don't know what kind of G, but some type of G. I think it was a G. Or maybe, I heard two different accounts. It was just a tragic situation in every way. A worshiper reads the Book of Mormon. Yeah, a lot of good that does now, right? A few years ago, 3 of the Adams children. Oh, wait, let me guess. Now the children are adults? Obviously, because children can't sue. Funny how that's when it always comes to light. You guys know it makes a lot of money, right? And its officials for allowing the abuse to occur with their knowledge. Scientology, better frickin' listen up. You guys are under the microscope hard now. And Scientologists, I don't want to hear the excuses. You are endorsing child abuse. I do not want to hear any more MF excuses from the ex-Scientologist parents or the current Scientology parents. And the other Scientologists that are totally fine with having child auditors or abusing the children or letting the children go to the RPF for ethics handlings. You guys are abusing the children. I'm done. A few years ago, 3 of the Adams children sued the Mormon Church and its officials for allowing the abuse to occur. With their knowledge, they're coming for you, Scientology. You guys better cough up the money, because people are going to come for you. There's going to be a lot of them, too. Attorney Lynn Cadigan began her legal complaint, summing up years of disturbing behavior. Just so you guys know, pedophilia is illegal. You guys might want to check the record, as my father used to say. This case involves horrible sexual, physical, and emotional abuse of children between the ages of 6 weeks. You guys, did you hear that? 6 weeks. They do that in the Satanic Covens too. It's just different the way they do it. And 12 years old, that went on for 7 years. The biological father of these victims made videos of his tapes. Wonder how much money they fetched. Did you guys wonder? Just like all the Diddy videos that nobody's talking about, right? You know how many millions of dollars they make? The biological father of these victims made videos of his RAPEs. And now these videos are everywhere in the world, on the World Wide Web. Just told you guys. Could sell a child repeatedly and keep making money. Just go watch or go read the book from Meat Rack Boy. I haven't read it yet. I'm going to, though. Those books get me upset. The perpetrator admitted his abuse and crimes to his Mormon church and received counseling for his crimes. The Mormon church leaders knew about the abuse. Why aren't they in jail? Inquiring MF minds want to know, why aren't they in jail? Aiding and abetting in crimes? Covering up child sexual abuse? And yet no one ever reported these crimes to the authorities. Not that it always goes anywhere. Look at how many sexual abuse of children has been reported to the LAPD and nothing happens. Just go look. It's on public record. I'm not saying anything that doesn't exist. It's not just LA either. The Mormon church leaders gave guidance. Did they really? And care to these children for 7 years. Isn't that wonderful? Birds of a feather. I think castration should happen to more of these things. Sat next to them in church and allowed these vicious crimes to continue. Telling me some of these people are not doing the same things themselves. They don't want to get caught. But now, in a depression update to an already devastating story, that case has been tossed out of court. Well, isn't that convenient? You guys, we need new courts. We need people that will actually adhere to the law. We need people that will persecute these child abusers, these arists. It's just enough. I can't say too much on YouTube, but you guys know what I think. Last Friday, Cochise County Superior Court Judge Timothy Dickerson ruled that the church and its leaders were exempt. Isn't that great, you guys? From being sued over these matters because of what's known as the Clergy-Pentient privilege. Just so everyone knows, there are numerous people trying to get this annihilated. Numerous people. To put that another way, because Adam's crimes was told to the bishop through the act of confession, the Mormon Church was under no obligation to report his actions to anybody. They were allowed to keep it a secret. You know what I think? I've been thinking a lot about this. You guys know who created religions, right? Well, I do. I can't go too deep. I believe that this clergy-pentient privilege was specifically written into the laws so that these crimes could continue. Where do you think more of the child S crimes occur? Remember, you cannot have secrecy. And look at all the things going on with Diddy. It was all secrecy. And I don't believe he's the only one that was doing those things. I think there are a lot more people. And why isn't anyone talking about all the money that Diddy and other people were making off those repugnant, filthy, debaucherous, sinful, reprehensible R videos? They were allowed to keep it a secret. Lynn Cadigan, an attorney representing the Adams children, who filed the 2021 lawsuit, said she will appeal the ruling. How do you explain to young victims that are arist religious beliefs? Where we heard that before? Freedom of religion? Where abusing children is just part of the program? To young victims that are arist religious beliefs are more important than their right to be free from R. She asked Cadigan, also said the ruling, if allowed to stand, would completely eviscerate the state child's protection law. How about that? In a prepared statement, the church said, "We are pleased with the Arizona Superior Court's decision granting summary judgment for the church and its clergy and dismissing the plaintiff's claims." What that's saying is that child R is okay, you guys. Have your parades in my town. Do it. We want you here. You might not leave the town, but have your parades. Contrary to some news reports and exaggerated allegations, really, the court found that the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints and its clergy handled this matter consistent with Arizona law. Really? What about the state's child protection law? Did you follow that? Leave it to the Mormon Church to do a victory lap after adding more suffering to the lives of child sex abuse victims. I mean, really, where else can you R a child and just get away with it repeatedly? Religion. All of them. Go see what they do in the basements of these churches. Yeah, I said it. As awful as this news is, it was largely predictable. This whole story has actually become Exhibit A when it comes to how the Mormon Church covers up this sort of abuse. If there's any way for the LDS Church to deal with a problem internally, where have we heard that before? Because you know pedos like to hang around pedos. Before it makes its way to the outside world, that's their preference. Black PR, anyone? But time and time again, they've failed to take care of the problems. Yeah, they don't ever take care of it. And abuse has thrived, especially against the girls. The reason this is allowed is because Arizona, like many other states, doesn't require religious leaders to report instances of abuse to law enforcement. Not like law enforcement always does anything. In fact, some of the law enforcement officers are doing the same things. Go look it up. Public record. If they learn about it through an act of confession. What about when it's not under an act of confession and the parishioners know? What then? Huh? That's not true everywhere. If a public school teacher learned that a student was being abused at home, that teacher has a legal obligation to tell the student's counselor, who can take appropriate actions. But no pastors, no bishops, not priests. If someone tells them a secret, believing it will remain a secret, there we go with the secretive. Then the law allows those leaders to keep it a secret, even if people are getting hurt. You guys go look up vow of silence or silencia or the shush sign. Look up politicians and celebrities. I did a lot of videos on my previous channel and they kept getting flagged over and over. I did some really good ones. You think they're doing that for nothing? Wakey MF wakey, everyone. Even when legislation was proposed to remove that exemption from the law, the Mormon Church and its minions fought it. Of course they do. They want the right to our children, you guys. Don't you get it? Don't you guys get it? To force a clergy member to report a confidential communion. But isn't it funny how therapists in certain types of crimes, aren't they forced to give up the information? I believe so. I have to go look it up. Confidential communication changes the whole nature of the confessional. In State Senator Eddie Farnsworth, R. Gilbert, and a member of the Mormon Church, earlier this year, he declined to give a hearing to a bill that sought to further narrow the clergy exemption. See, this is their get-out-of-jail-free pass. We have the right to our children, don't you know it? The bill, well-intentioned as it might have been, would disrupt centuries of church dogma. What, ours children? Dogma of ours children, I guess. See, this author knows what's up. He's an atheist. Said Farnsworth, who, as chair of the Senate Judiciary Committee, has the authority to decide which bills to consider. You guys go look up the Milwaukee judge who was, I forget his name. That's my hometown. He was found, him and his husband were found to be guilty of being predators of children. Put it like that. And of course, the only charges were, they were busted with child P, right? They always do that. Because you see, these sickos believe in it. Yeah. Merrill Nelson, another lawyer for the Mormon Church, was a person who told Herod, what an interesting name, not to report Adam's crimes to law enforcement. Isn't that aiding and abetting? He was also a Utah legislator for a decade. Before finally stepping down earlier this year, Utah has a similar law protecting confessions. The reason religious institutions don't want the exemption taken off the books, this should be good, is because they value their secrecy. No kidding. Secret society, secrecy. Seeing a pattern, you guys? But what do I know? Wonder how much blood is in those basements. Their religious dogma, yeah, right, is more important than another child getting SA'd. They believe confessions are a sacrament, and anything less than complete confidentiality would be an obstacle to the practice of their faith. Yeah, our children. More simply, they just don't give a shit about abuse victims. That's a fact. Boy Scouts, Catholic Church, Mormons, Jehovah's Witnesses, they're all doing the same thing. The rule turns religious leaders into moral monsters. T.D. Jakes, anyone? Been telling you MNFers for almost 20 years now. Nobody wanted to believe me. Preventing them from helping those who need it. The Associated Press, Michael Resendez, and Jason Deeren put this week's dismissal in context. This should be great. Wait, you guys, it's coming. Miss Paranoia over here, right? Miss Conspiracy Theorist. Talking about myself. The AP found that 33 states. How many states, you guys? 33. Tres. Must be a conspiracy, huh? Where do you think that comes from, you guys? They're to ruin the world. States exempt clergy of any denomination from laws requiring professionals such as teachers, physicians, and psychotherapists. Oh, I was just thinking about that. From reporting information about child sex abuse to police or child welfare officials if the abuse was divulged during a confession. So wait a minute, psychologists get confessions? Or psychotherapists? Although child welfare advocates, yeah, we're the real ones. In some states have backed legislation to eliminate the privilege, lobbying by Catholic Church, the Mormon Church, and the Jehovah's Witnesses, what'd I just say, has successfully persuaded lawmakers to maintain the exemption. What happens when the court justice is just simply not working anymore? What are we the people supposed to do? There needs to be some other type of justice. That religious glaring loophole has been a blessing for abusers everywhere. Yeah. Pedos love it. They get to pretend they're getting right with God, all while continuing their predatory ways. Even though the lawsuit here argued that the clergy-pentient privilege shouldn't have been applied to certain members. Of course it shouldn't have. Do you see what a sick society we're living in? My voice. Who were involved in these discussions. The judge said the entire situation fell under the umbrella of confession. So the church and its leaders couldn't be held responsible for not disclosing the details. Portions of this article were published earlier. Subscribe to Friendly Atheist. So I will leave the link in the description box. Like and subscribe if you choose. Otherwise, have an amazing day or night wherever you are. Peace.